Now, this character named Devonne, I think his last name is Martin or something like that, a ugly SOB. I think he was 40, he's 41, and his girlfriend is 26. And he should be happy somebody won his ugly face. But what he did to his living girlfriend after they had an argument. Now the girlfriend was about 6.5 months pregnant. They had an argument, and an ignorant, low-life animal threw light and fluid and set her on fire and burned about 60% of her body. So she is in critical condition. But the more horrible part is that the judge set a low bail for the SOB. He should be locked up for life. Now he have a long prison record, arrest record, and there was warrant out for him. Now I don't know if that judge was black or white, but whatever the character is, the unwise judge is just as bad as he is. He or she, the judge, I don't know if the judge was a male or female. The news story did not state that. But the judge was wrong to set it a bill that he could get out on bond for $5,000. He just had to pay $5,000 bond and he would have been let out. After he attempted, actually that should be attempted murder, not just assault. And what was the matter with that judge? Why did they keep letting those criminals out to wreak havoc? Because they think that it would be mostly in the black neighborhood that they would wreak havoc, confusion, criminality, murder, theft. Everything that an animalistic brain would think of. And they let him out. Of course, there's some stupid judge let out Caucasian people too after they commit rape and horrible crimes. Don't know that they're doing their own community a disservice by doing so. It's not a privilege to let a criminal or rapist out. What kind of privilege is that? That's stupidity. Just with their mind setting loose in the area. So that judge let out that son of a bitch. I think his name was Devonne, Devonne, and I believe his last name is Martin. It sounds his name start with an M, Martin, or something like that. But that son of a bitch should be in jail for life sentence. Instead, an idiot became a judge. I could let a foolish person become a judge, because that was foolishness. And they let those things out into the black community, mostly. Down there, and so there's a lot of criminals. They are speaking about criminal justice and being soft on crime. But not when they commit a hideous act such as that. But if a person just shoplift or do a more petty crime, and they black, they give them years and years, and probably set a bond of almost $1 million. Because they're doing some innocent act. I'm not an innocent act, but a victimless act. There's no violence in it. So when they let those violent criminals out, it's not to do the community a favor, but to do it harm. Okay, now another story is the relevancy of the NAACP. The NAACP is not relevant anymore. They're just a fundraisers to keep paying people's salary. There was a time in the 60s, in the 50s even, and 40s, when the NAACP was very relevant, was almost looked at as a radical organization. With the time when Medgar Evers was the president of the NAACP in Mississippi. He gave his life. In fact, many people who was in the NAACP in the South died giving their life for the fight for their rights. But now it is a laughing matter. They say the NAACP, whites and blacks, just laugh. What relevance? What have they done? What have they done lately? Like the song said, what have you done for me lately? Nada. In the Spanish language, because Spanish seem to be taking over the land with commercial now on television, in Spanish and so forth. That's another subject. So who's giving money just to pay people's salary in the NAACP? But they're talking about voting rights. We already have our voting rights. There's nobody keeping us from voting. That's why there are so many black elected officials in the South. I think like Mississippi and Alabama got more black elected officials in the South than in the North. So there's no harm, nobody keeping black people from voting. And a lot of the head of the electoral boards are black themselves. So that's a sham. Making people run out of fictitious fights. I don't know, every time I get to talking, my voice gets hoarse. And the devil trying to keep me from speaking, but I'm going to speak just right on. As I say this, so there's two subjects I was talking about. The criminality among us. What is the cause of it? And instead of it being lesser punishment or easy on criminals, people were talking about when they were too tough on criminals. And they want them to be softer until they become a victim or somebody they know of the criminal mind. And the next one, subject, what's the relevancy of the NAACP So what organization now is in the forefront? They have the new Black Panther Party, but what have they done really? Or they are not giving publicity, or if there's any relevant black organization, they are not giving publicity. Like Martin Luther King and SCLC was given. They learned this publicity just make those organizations powerful. And they wanted Martin Luther King with his nonviolence to be powerful in their representation of nonviolence. Well, they could be violent, but they want people to be nonviolent against them. Them, I'm talking about Caucasian people. But there should be a nonviolent organization among the black community itself. Not against the white community, but in the black community, there should be a nonviolent push among the black people themselves. Like I said, my voice is hoarse, but I'm going to keep on. But there's a spiritual fight. Spiritual fight going on. Now the next question is to be where at. Should there be a movement of black people moving to Africa? Or from the north of America to the south? How about both? Of course, north is cold, but it's good to be represented all over America. So let the Spirit be your guide, because you can win either way. There's some people saying that black people should move. In fact, what's his name? Charles Blow, the New York Times columnist, say that black people should move from the north to the south and become the major population of the South. Then they could elect governor. They already are elected mayors, most of the major cities in the South. But then they could elect U.S. senators and governors. And then it would be like a black nation, really, made up of the southern state. That is one idea. But whatever idea is going to be done now, time is getting late. Then there's another idea of black people building communities in Africa with the black wealth. And there's a lot of wealth black people really have compared to other black people in the world. There's about 1.5 million black millionaires, it's reported. That's where I read in one place. How true that is, I don't know. But in one place it says that I read that there's a 1.5 million black millionaires in the United States. Well, there's only about 120,000 millionaires in the top 19 African countries, the top 19, which have a population of 885 million people, only 120, and we will have a population of about 50 million, have 1.5 million millionaires. And there's almost half of the black millionaires in the world, almost half of the black billionaires in the world, live in America. They reported, and we don't even know who's really a billionaire now. I mean, who's really a billionaire? But we only go by what Forbes say. And Kanye West had a fight in order to be considered a billionaire by Forbes. So that's another idea to remove. Let the Spirit be our guide. That's what's moving. Because I see over and over and over again, especially among black women who move to Africa, and they say, you know, but black women go by emotion and feeling. And they consider that spiritual. They consider that spiritual. That emotional feeling they have, the intuition. And over again, they say that there's spirit that lead them to Africa. And I always listen to a lot of the videos and hear the repeated things that's saying over. The pattern that's said. And that's one of the patterns. Especially among black women, they say there was a spirit, and that spirit, I guess, I don't know if it's real spirit or the emotion is a spirit also. That spirit rules the emotion. And the spirit in America, among black people, is not always awful, horrible, horrific. Now, these people that's in the church who was supposed to deal with the spirit, that's the church is dealing with the spirit. Supposed to. But most of them dealing with money for themselves. Oh, you could deal with money too, because even the Bible, Ecclesiastes says that money answers all things. Ecclesiastes, I think it's 10, in the 10th chapter someplace, 10th chapter, I think maybe the 13th verse, 12 or 13th verse. It says, a feast is for laughter. It's a feast, and wine maketh merry. But money answers all things. That's what it says in the Ecclesiastes. So they could deal with money too. That's part of the people's problem. It's the lack of money more than it is the love of money. But the spirit in this Christianity or Islam, whatever it is not, or whatever it is not answering what's spiritually wrong in the black community. Those fake preachers, some of them have an evil spirit in them, a money-loving spirit. Money for themselves, though. One woman I seen in the video, a pastor, she died, fake died, and said she only be resurrected when she get enough offering. So we have to get our spirits straight. And by how? And by whom? To guide us in the way.